Right. Okay. Good afternoon to all our viewers today. Right? So I'm seeing a lot of people na nagjo-join po sa webinar natin ngayong araw, no? So while we're waiting for the rest of them to come in, right, and join us today, let me just get a check, no? Kung sino po ba yung mga kasama natin today. Let's just see who are we with in today's webinar. Okay. So kindly just type in the chat, right? Saan po kayo nanggagaling today and how are you? Right. Okay. So let's see. Sino po ba yung mga kasama natin today? Where are they from? How are they doing? Right. Just so we can have a more pleasant room, no? Na medyo at least kahit paano alam natin sino mga kasama natin ngayong araw. Okay. We have someone from Davao City. Hello. Right. We have people from Bahrain. Okay. Good morning. Good morning to you. Right. People from Dubai. Hi. Magandang umaga po. Right. We have people from all over the country. So we have someone from Cebu. Hello. Good afternoon. Cavite, Pangasinan, Marikina. Okay. Right. So iba-iba po talaga yung pinanggalingan natin ngayon. We have people from Quezon City, Zamboanga City, Bacoor, Pampanga. Wow. So many people are attending today. No? Iba-ibang lugar po talaga. Again, we have someone from Dubai. Right. Good morning po. Magandang umaga sa inyo. Okay. We have people from Tacloban. Hi. Good afternoon. Okay. And so, habang naghihintay po tayo na yung ibang audience natin pumasok, let's just give a short introduction of our topic today. Yan. So, investing made easy and affordable. Okay? So, yun po yung pag-uusapan natin today. What we're going to talk about are the different types of mutual funds and UITFs and paano nyo po sila magagamit to make investing an easy and affordable way for you to make use of your money, right? So I'm Zane Andrew Pulumbarit. I am the funds analyst of COL, and that's what we'll be talking about today. Okay. Okay. So let's just try to break down po ano po ba yung mga topics na pag-uusapan natin today para mas ma-digest natin siya. Okay. So unang-una po, we'll talk about mutual funds and UITF. So for those who are not yet familiar or unaware, ano ba yung mutual funds or UITFs? Pag-uusapan po natin yan, no? What are they? What are their advantages? And even their disadvantages. Okay? After that, okay, pupunta po tayo. Now that we know what those investments are, how do we now choose the fund that's right for us? And what do we mean by right is ano po ba yung fund na angkop sa investment objective natin and the life goals that we have. Okay? And last part of our webinar today will be how to enter your order. So ngayong alam nyo na ano yung funds na bagay sa inyo, right? How do you now invest into these funds in the COL Fund Source platform? So ito po yung three topics that we will talk about today. Okay, okay, let's begin. Right? So step one, study mutual funds and UITFs. So ano po ba yung mutual funds and UITFs? So mutual funds and UITFs po, we say that they are the easy way to grow your money in multiple ways. Okay, so bakit po kaya multiple ways? No? So punta po muna natin, what are fund investments? To those who are not familiar, ganito po nag-work yung mga fund investment. So unang-una po, it's a type of investment kung saan pinagsasama-sama niya yung pera ng iba't ibang investors. So kunwari po tayo dito, may 1,000 pesos po tayong lahat. Ang gagawin po ng isang fund, pagsasama-samahin po niya yung 1,000 pesos na yun, and that will be invested by a fund manager. So yung fund manager po yung nagmamanage ng ating investments. And saan po niya pwedeng invest? Okay, so depende po sa fund. The fund manager can invest it in equities or stocks, yan. Can invest it in bonds or money market instruments. So pag-uusapan din po natin mamaya, ano ba yung mga equities, bonds, and money market para mas familiar po tayo doon. Okay? And then for those of you here, no, equities po, we'll be talking about it. Pag nakarinig kayo ng equities, ibig sabihin lang po nun are stocks. Okay? So when you hear stocks and equities, for our discussion today, interchangeable lang po yan. Pwede po yan mapagpalit. Alright? Okay. So, funds are great kasi unang-una po, they are affordable and easy to access. So, sabi nga po natin kanina, dahil pinagsasama-sama yung pera ng iba't ibang investors, pwede po tayong makapag-invest even with a small amount of money. So, hindi po kailangan na malaki yung capital na meron kayo for you to invest. No. You can start for as low as 500 pesos and you can already invest into these types of investments. Okay? Second po is they are professionally managed. Okay? Meron pong fund manager na nagmamanage yung pera nyo. So hindi po laging kayong kailangan nakabantay or nakamonitor na nangyayari sa stock market, sa financial market, sa news. Okay? And that gives you more time for the other activities in your life. Yung po kasi yung isa sa mga misconceptions sa pag-invest, kailangan lagi kayong nakatutok. Okay? Tama naman po that you should monitor your investments, but through funds, you don't need to monitor it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay? Since meron pong professional na nagmamanage ng inyong pera. Okay? Next is exposure to different assets. So sabi po natin, pwede mag-invest ang funds into equities or stocks, pwede rin po sa bonds, or even money market and short-term instruments. Okay? So hindi lang po yan nag-i-invest sa iisang type of investments. Pwede pong iba-ibang type ng investments yung pwede pag-investa ng funds. Actually po, normally, ang naisip lang po ng tao pag nag-i-invest sila sa funds is sa stocks lang po nag-i-invest. Okay? So, meron pa pong ibang types of funds that invest in other instruments. Okay? Yun naman po yung pag-uusapan natin later sa discussions natin. And last is that they can invest in global securities. Yan. So mutual funds po and UITFs, pwede na rin po sila mag-invest outside of the Philippines. So you can also access other investments from around the world. So hindi na lang po tayo sa investment sa Philippines pwede mag-invest, pwede rin po tayo mag-invest in other countries like the US, India, and China. Okay? So mas malaki na po yung options natin through mutual funds and UITFs. Yeah. So these are the benefits of funds. Now, sabi ko po kanina, marami ang iniisip nila, mutual funds, di ba pang stocks lang yun? No? Those are the funds that invest in stocks. Actually po, there are 4 basic types of mutual funds and UITFs. So, una-una po is yung money market funds. Ito po yung funds na nag-i-invest in money market or short-term instruments. Tulad po ng time deposit, mga high interest na savings account, yun po yung pinag-i-investa ng money market funds. Okay. Second naman po is what we call bond funds. Bond funds po, ito yung nag-i-invest sa mga bonds or pautang ng gobyerno at large corporations. So yan po yung mga loans of the government from us and of large companies. So those are the bond funds. Balance funds, ibig sabihin po balance, mix siya ng iba't ibang types of instruments or assets. So meron po siyang bonds, pwede rin siyang may stocks, pwede rin siyang may money market. So it's a balanced approach to investing. And lastly, we have the equity funds. So equity funds naman po, ito yung mga funds na nag-i-invest sa stocks or shares of different companies. Okay? So as we know, if you invest in a share of a company, right, you are part owner of that company. So yung equity funds po, doon sila nag-i-invest in that type of instruments. Okay? Now, alam ko po marami kayong mga katanungan pa about different types of funds that we have. And later, if you have more questions after the webinar, we'll cover your questions in our Q&A session. Right? So essentially po, we've already covered yung ating step 1, no? Ano po ba yung mutual funds and UITFs? We're able to understand na mutual funds and UITFs, investments po siya kung saan pinagsasama-sama natin yung pera ng iba't ibang investors. And may fund manager na nag-i-invest on behalf of us. Okay. Now, punta na po tayo dun sa step 2. How do we pick the right funds based on the investment goals and objectives that we have? Okay? So dito na po natin makikita paano ba natin magagamit tong mga iba't ibang types of funds na to so that it matches the goals that we have in our life. Okay? Yeah. Before we go there, no, split po muna natin ano ba yung mga pinaglalaanan natin ng pera. So normally po sa buhay ng isang tao, meron tayong tinatawag na investment journey in 4 buckets. Ito po yung mga pinaglalaanan natin ng pera in our lives. Okay? Unang-una po, that's what we call emergency needs and cash. So ito po yung para sa mga hindi natin emergency needs, whether that's medical o home emergencies, and mga cash na gagamitin po natin within less than a year. For example po, ibayarin natin for our bills, okay? Mga credit card bills, house bills, dyan po natin inaalat yung pera na yun, the emergency needs and cash. So normally po ito, right, ginagamit natin yung pera na to within less than a year. Right? Ito yung liquid cash na ginagamit natin. Second naman po is yung tinatawag nating imminent goals. Okay? So imminent goals, ito po yung specific goals na ine-expect natin mangyari 1 to 5 years from now. Okay? So again, ito po ay specific goals na ine-expect natin mangyari a few years from now. So ano po bang examples no? For example, you're planning to travel. Ngayon po makikita nyo, maraming gustong lumabas kasi na-stuck sila nung pandemic. Right? They're planning their overseas travel. Okay? So pwede po siyang pumunta sa inyong imminent goal if you plan to travel in the next 1 to 5 years. Right? So imminent goals po yan. Another example po ng imminent goal natin, let's say nagpapa-renovate kayo ng bahay, may pinapakumpuni kayo, right? So if you expect that to happen in the next few years, right, it will also fit in your imminent goals. Yan. Yung pangatlo naman pong bucket, yung tinatawag nating future lifestyle support. Yan. Future lifestyle support. Ito po yung investments na nilalaan natin for the distant future. So malayong panahon pa po. That's typically more than 5 years. Okay? So ito po talaga yung investments that we focus on for example, for our retirement, yan, for the college education of our children. Ito po yung mga investments that are far into the future. Okay? So normally, ito po talaga yung pinaglalaanan ng mga tao when it comes to their investing purposes. Then last, yung tinatawag po nating aspirational goals. So ito po yung pera na inaalat natin to take on high-risk investments to capture the possibility of extraordinary returns. So napakaganda pong pakinggan, no? Extraordinary returns. But I'd like to remind you din po that these types of investments typically have a high risk na katumbas nila. So, yun. So, ito po yung for more aspiration na, no? You want high returns, but you're also exposing yourself to very high risk. Okay? So, that's why when we try to present these 4 buckets, we try to remind people na hindi lang po aspirational goals yung meron tayo in life. Meron din po tayong future lifestyle support, meron po tayong imminent goals, and meron din po emergency needs and cash. So, ito po yung mga our lives. Okay? Now, just to see, okay, from our attendees today, alin po ba yung pinaka-pinagfo-focusan nyo ngayon? Which is your priority right now? Okay? Are you more focused on building your emergency fund? Yan, yung po ba yung pinagfo-focusan nyo? Or focus on support? Let's just check, no? How many of our investors here are prioritizing which type of journey in their, or which type of bucket in their investment journey? Tingnan po natin, ano po ba yung mga pinaglalaanan ng mga kasama natin today? Okay, so I think a few people are just starting to type in our chat box. So type nyo lang po sa chat box yung inyong response. Okay. I'm seeing a few people, future lifestyle support. Okay, future lifestyle support. Meron naman po aspirational goals. Okay, sir. You're more focused on the high risk, high reward aspect. Meron naman po imminent goals. Yan. Mas focus nila in the next 1 to 5 years. That's what they are aiming for. Okay. Okay. Future lifestyle support. And then I saw people focusing on emergency needs. So they're still building their cash for their emergencies. Okay. All right. So nakikita natin iba-iba po yung focus ng ating mga audience today, no? Okay, so may future lifestyle support. Okay, so I think we've got a lot of responses in. And makikita po natin, hindi po tayo pare-parehas ng pinaglalaanan. Okay? Iba-iba po sa atin, iba-iba yung pinaglalaanan nila for our goals and priorities. Okay? Probably po, iba-iba rin kasi tayo ng situations that we are in our lives. And that's why yun po yung kagandahan sa funds kasi you can appropriate the type of goal na meron ka to the investment that you want to put it in. Okay? Now, let's try to put into the picture saan po ba papasok yung funds and UITFs in that manner. Okay? Our funds na nag-invest sa short-term instruments tulad ng time deposit, mga special savings accounts, and other deposit products. Okay? So saan nyo po ba magagamit yung money market funds? So they're best used for your idle cash or emergency fund. So balikan lang po natin yung money market funds. No? Again, they're best used for your idle cash and emergency funds. So bakit naman po idle cash at emergency funds? Sabi nga po natin, they invest in short-term instruments. So normally, these are low-risk type of investments, mga savings account, time deposit. Okay? So normally po, they are low risk and lower din yung potential returns nila, which is why they're best for your idle cash and emergency fund. Now, for those of you who are a bit more advanced in terms of their investing journey, okay, pwede nyo rin po sila gamitin while you're waiting for market opportunities. Okay, ano po ibig sabihin natin na while waiting for market opportunity? Right? We're seeing a lot of investors put their money in money market funds, right? Habang mataas yung interest rates because they see some risk in the local stock market. So a good example again is if you look at the local stock market today, pababa po siya, right? That's the trend of the stock market. So yung iba ang ginagawa po nila, right? Itatabi po muna nila yung pera nila in a money market fund, low risk, low return. Then once they find a better opportunity to invest in other instruments, tsaka nila gagamitin yun. So pinapark lang po nila yung pera nila dito while waiting for those other opportunities out there. So dun nyo po pwedeng gamitin yung money market funds. Okay? So ano naman po yung advantage ng money market funds over your traditional bank savings? Normally naman po, you can get time deposits from your bank. So what's the difference? So the difference po is money market funds typically have higher returns, or historically they've provided higher returns over your traditional bank savings account. Yan. So bakit naman po ganun? Kasi nga po, sabi natin, pinagsasama-sama yung pera ng iba't ibang investors, right? So the fund is able to get better rates from your money. So mas mataas po yung nakukuha nilang rates mula sa mga bangko, sa mga time deposit, kasi po mas malaki yung pera na minamanage nila compared to individual investors po na katulad natin if we just access it through our bank accounts or bank savings. Yan. So yan po yung advantage of a money market fund over your traditional bank savings account. Right? And the next one naman po is the bond funds. So bond funds, these are the funds that invest in corporate or government bonds. So ano po ba yung corporate and government bonds? Okay? So to those who are unfamiliar with corporate government bonds, ito lang po yung pautang ng mga malalaking corporations at ng gobyerno. So normally po maririnig nyo yung mga treasury bills, treasury notes, okay? These are examples of government bonds. So kunwari po kailangan ng budget ng gobyerno, right? Mag-i-issue po sila ng bonds and we as investors will take part in that bond. Example, 1,000 pesos, right? And they give out coupons after or yung interest nun to that investor and then ibabalik nila after a certain period of time yung pera na yun. Okay? So that's generally how bonds work. Okay? So they can be used for your medium-term goals, 1 to 5 years, okay? And can be used to manage the risk if stock investing is too risky. So compared to sa stocks, normally bonds are regarded to be less risky than your stock investments. Bakit po siya less risky? Unang-una po, you get your dividends or your coupons from investing in government bonds. Yan. Second, they are offered by the government. So government po yung nag-assure ng pera nyo and oftentimes large corporations. Right? But syempre, right, meron din pong risks na kaakibat yun. It's possible that the government or the corporation may default on their bond payment. So there's still some risk involved, but typically they're regarded to be less risky to your stock investments. Kaya naman po they're best for your medium-term goals. Yung mga 1 to 5 years po natin na goals, normally that's for your bond fund investments. And then again, if the stock investing is too risky for you, bonds are also a good option. Ano naman po yung advantage ng bond funds compared to mag-invest ka ng bonds directly? Meaning, bumili ka ng sarili mong bonds directly from the government or directly from the company that's offering that. So, unang-una po, yung makikita nyo, if you buy yung mga government bonds or Ayala corporate bond, yung minimums po niya normally goes from 100,000 pesos to 1 million and above. Okay? So, for normal investors or retail investors like us, mahirap pong ma-access yung mga ganitong types of investments kasi malaki yung capital na nire-require. But for bond funds, dahil po pinagsasama yung pera ng iba't ibang investors, we can invest for as low as 1,000 to 5,000 pesos. So mas madali pong ma-access yung mga ganitong types of investments kahit po maliit money that we can invest. Then the next one is yung tinatawag po nating balance fund. Okay? So a balance fund is just a combination of stocks and bonds. So they're used for your medium or long-term goals kasi nga po binabalance niya yung stocks tsaka bonds. Medyo may mix siya ng dalawa, right? So it's for a more balanced approach to investing. So if you want to invest po sa stocks pero hindi lahat, yan, you can invest balance fund kasi meron po siyang stocks and then meron din siyang bonds. So na-manage po niya yung risk from that investment. Okay? So yun yung balance funds. Then last, we have po yung equity funds. So equity funds, sabi nga po natin, equities or stocks. Yan. Ito po yung nag-i-invest sa stocks or shares of a company. And for funds, these are really for your long-term goals. Yung mga goals nyo po, more than 5 years from now. Okay. So bakit naman po long-term goals? So normally po, when a company grows, it takes a long time for a company grow. Hindi naman po yan, no? Sa mga nagnegosyo po dito sa audience natin, alam po natin, ang kumpanya po hindi yan lumalaki ng 1 buwan, 2 buwan lang. It takes years for a company to grow. And which is why yung mga funds na nag-invest in companies, right, tulad ng equity funds, they're really best for your long-term goals as long as these companies grow over time. So, yun po yung equity fund. So, yung mga nag-attend po ng previous webinars natin, alam nila na yung stocks na nasa Philippine market, yan po yung mga ones that are grow through long period of time. No? So, medyo familiar na sila how those stocks work. And the best type of equity fund to grow your money over time is an equity index fund. So, bakit po equity index fund? So, yung equity fund din po to, pero meron lang siyang specific or special na criteria, yung index. Ano po ba yung ibig sabihin ng index? So, sa Philippines po, meron po sinusundan na index o ito po yung composition of the largest, right, companies in the Philippines. So, sa Philippine Stock Exchange, yan yung PSEI, ito po yung top 30 largest companies in the Philippines. So, yung equity index fund po, ginagaya niya lang yung composition ng top 30 companies na yan. So I'm pretty sure familiar po kayo with some of these names, right? So BPI, Jollibee, Ayala, you have BDO, SM, right? Union Bank, Wilcon. Ito po yung large companies in the Philippines. Okay? Now, overseas, meron din po tayong index. Okay? So what we call the MSCI All Country World Index. So ito naman po yung index of the largest stocks around the world. So a few examples of that. And yung Meta, Tesla, right, your Apple, Tencent, Nvidia, Samsung. Ito na po yung malalaking companies around the world. So why we're showing you yung equity index sa Philippines tsaka overseas is to give you that idea na meron po kayong ways to invest in the Philippines and meron din pong ways to invest overseas through these types of index funds. And yung kagandahan po nila is that they both invest in the largest companies of that index. Okay. So, sabi nga po natin, equity index funds, ginagaya lang niya yung performance nung index na tinatrack niya. So, sa Philippines, ginagaya lang po nung what we've seen over the last 20 years is that it has returned 8.9% per annum. Okay. So, yung 8.9% po per annum na yan, ano po ba ibig sabihin niyan? Okay. Ibig sabihin po niyan, on average, the stock market returns 8.9% or the Philippine stock market returns 8.9% every year. Guaranteed po ba yan? No? To be clear with you, yan pong 8.9% is not guaranteed. Sabi ko po natin, that is the average. So meron pong years na mas mataas dyan, right? May years na mas mababa. And there are also years where that is negative. So makikita po natin yan on this chart. No? So meron po talagang periods where the stock market goes up, and then may periods din po where the stock market goes down. Okay? But over time, when we average it, the trajectory of that is still upward. So over the long term, investors still have the potential to earn even though akyat baba yung stock market. Okay? Yeah. So yun naman po yung advantage of investing in an equity index fund. Sinasabayan lang niya yung largest companies that it invests in. Right? So recap lang po tayo, no? Money. So very low risk, best for your short term. Normally po mga less than 1 year. Okay. Oops. For your bond funds, that's ideal for earning a stable return. So stable return po, hindi po yan ibig sabihin guaranteed return. What a stable return means is hindi po magalaw yung price ng inyong investment. Okay? So low risk po siya dahil doon. Right? Kaya best po siya for your medium term, mga 1 to 5 years. Okay? Balanced funds, right? Higher returns from stocks pero may mas moderate yung risk kasi meron po siyang bonds in its investments. Okay? And then lastly, you have your equity or index funds that can provide higher returns over a long period of time because of the high risk of investing. So really, it's best for a long period of time. Normally po, 5 years or more. Okay? Now, why do we share with you itong mga risks, returns? No? Why do we share those types of information with you? Kasi po, what we've noticed over the past couple of years, right, and historically, right, overseas, ganito rin po yung trend, is that ito po yung risk-return profile of the mutual funds in the Philippines over the last few years. So from 2005 to 2021, ano po ba yung naging performance nila? Okay? So maximum positive 1-year return, ibig sabihin po, in a span of 1 year, gaano kalaki yung tinaas ng value ng investment. So money market fund, yan, the highest it has over the last 16 years is 5.3%. And then equity or index funds, up to 74.8% yung narating niya. Okay? So makikita po natin, right, if you're really going for your returns, right, balance or equity index fund is a good option. Ito po yung may mga stock compositions. Pero ano naman po yung merong maximum negative return, right? So gaano siya kalaking bumaba in a span of 1 year in terms of what we've observed. Yan. So ito naman po yung na-observe natin, no? In a span of 1 year, yung may biggest drawdown would be your equity or index funds. Ito po yung mga may stock investments. Bakit po? Right? A good example for this is nung nakaraang pandemic. Right? When businesses closed down, syempre po, nawalan ng kita yung mga negosyo, nahirapan yung economy natin, and that's when the stock market really went down. Yun po yung na-observe natin dito na 44.7% na drawdown. So, we're sharing this with you kasi po, so that you can be aware. For example, you're investing your emergency fund, right? So, alin po ba yung options nyo dyan? Right? If you're investing for your emergency, most probably po, you are likely to put it in a money market fund that have a very low risk. Okay? So we wouldn't want to put that in an equity or index fund kung saan meron po yung volatility yung stock market, no? Na tomorrow, the stock market might be down. Eh kung kailangan nyo po siya for your emergencies, paano nyo po siya magagamit? Okay? Whereas, for your mga long-term goals, long-term needs, it's still best suited for your equity funds or yung funds na merong mga stocks na hawak. Kasi over the long term, we know that these companies can grow in time. Yun lang po, pinapakita natin dito, meron din siyang kaakibat na higher risk as well. Okay? Yeah, so that's why we try to always inform people ano po ba yung risks and returns of the different types of funds out there. Now, let's try to summarize. How do we now use funds to fill our financial buckets? Okay? So liquid cash, and pwede po yan sa ating money market funds or bank products, even our e-wallets, right, or an option for our liquid cash. Imminent goals, yan po yung ating bond funds or direct bonds. Then for our future lifestyle support, you can invest it in an equity fund or balanced fund. And then For our aspirational goals, dito na po papasok yung direct stock investing. Yung kayo na yung mamimili ng inyong stocks or specialized funds, mga thematic funds, or even other alternative investments. Okay? Yan. So, in this way, nakikita nyo po saan pwedeng pumasok yung goals nyo, right? And the type of investment that matches the goals that you have. Now, a common question we get, gaano ba kalaki i-aalok dyan? 30%, 20, 40, saan ko ba ilalagay? Nakita po natin when we had that survey of which bucket you're prioritizing. It really depends po on the person. Okay? Yung kung ang priority nyo po is liquid cash, of course, you need to allocate a larger amount to that. Consequently, kung future lifestyle support naman po, mas malaki yung i-allocate nyo doon. So magkakaiba po bawat tao. But to give you a good example of how you can manage your own personal investments, so punta po tayo dito sa mga ilang examples na to. Okay. Yeah, so we have here si Jessie. So Jessie po, she's a young millennial. So nasa mga 25 to 30 yung age ni Jessie, no? Young millennial. So yung goal po niya is to grow her travel money, na may 30 pesos po siya, for the next 2 years. Okay, so travel money, 35,000 pesos, 2 years. So I want you po to participate in this, no? Let's have a discussion over this. Saan po niya kaya pwede i-invest yung pera niya? Travel money, 35,000 pesos, 2 years. Okay, just type in the chat box saan po niya pwedeng ilagay. So I see balance fund or bond, right? So people are answering bonds, people are answering equity, bond fund. Okay, we're seeing more responses here. Okay, saan po kaya pwedeng ilagay ni Jessie yung pera niya? Okay, just wait for a few more examples. Okay, I think we stop there. Bond fund. So ano po ba yung magandang option ni Jessie? Right? Meron sumagot, money market fund, balance. Okay. Alright. So tingnan natin, saan po kaya magandang ilagay ni Jessie? Right? A good option for Jessie would be a bond fund. So bakit po bond fund? Bond fund, right, typically has a low risk and can provide a stable returns versus your banks. Okay. So para naman po dun sa mga sumagot sa money market, hindi na ba siya pwede mag-invest sa money market? Pwede pa rin po, right? She can, if Jessie is more conservative, so ayaw niyang i-risk yung pera niya kasi it's her travel money. Ayaw niyang mabawasan. Okay? Money market fund is also a good option for her. Okay? Pero yung equity fund and balance fund, baka po hindi yun yung best option sa kanya kasi gagamitin niya yung pera in the next 2 years. Okay? So mas may risks po involved there. How about this, yung goal 2 ni Jessie? Okay? So yung goal 2 po niya is for her emergency fund, gusto niya kahit paano kumita yung pera niya compared kung nasa bangko lang. No? Saan po kaya pwede ilagay ni Jessie yung pera niya? Emergency fund, 20,000 pesos. Hindi niya alam kailan niya gagamitin. Pwedeng immediate kasi it's for emergencies. Saan kaya niya pwede ilagay? Right? We're seeing money market, right? We're seeing e-wallets, higher interest. Okay. Money market funds, money market. Okay. Right? Okay, mukhang consistent yung sagot dito. People would choose a money market fund kasi mas ma-maximize po niya yung potential ng kanyang extra cash compared to kung ilalagay lang niya sa traditional na bank account. Okay. Great responses from our audience today. Okay, punta naman po tayo sa next example, si Mark. Okay, si Mark po, meron siyang 250,000 para sa kanyang wedding in the next 2 years. Okay. Yan. Saan po kaya pwede i-invest ni Mark yung kanyang money? So wedding, 250,000, 2 years from now, where can Mark invest it? Okay, so I'm seeing bond funds, okay, bonds, bond funds. Okay, mukhang consistent yung sagot ng ating mga audience today. Yeah, bonds or balance, yeah. And somebody answered balance. Okay. And, you know, one of the best options that Mark could have is a bond fund. So similar din po kay Jessie. Lower risk and provides better returns versus banks. Now, sabi rin po natin kay Jessie, if Mark is more conservative, right, the 250,000 completely, right, he doesn't want to have a high risk for that, then a money market fund is also an option for him. So pwede naman po siya manili, depende dun sa kanyang risk appetite. Okay? So meron din pong ganong factor that we have to consider, the appetite. Okay? Kung mas less risk averse ka ba, mas gusto mo ba, mas may risk. And, but for Mark, okay siya to consider a bond fund for this investment. Right, so goal 2 ni Mark, he wants to prepare for the college education of his future children. Okay, for future children niya. So yung college education na yan, he wants to allot 50,000 na meron na siya ngayon, pero gusto niya magdagdag ng 5,000 every month for the next 18 years. So bakit kaya niya gusto magdagdag ng 5,000 every month? Siguro po, right? Because yung 50,000, para mas lumago po siya through time, is he adds regular investment. So mas nilalakihan po niya investments niya through time. So saan kaya niya pwedeng i-invest yun? Right? College education fund for the next 18 years. What is Mark's good or best option to invest? Equity index fund, okay, particular to an index fund. Yan. Equity fund, okay. Right, and the answer to that is he can invest it in an equity index or equity fund. So dahil long-term po yung approach niya, okay, to ride out yung volatility ng stock market, nasasakyan po niya yung volatility ng stock market kasi long-term yung kanyang approach. And since nagdadagdag siya regularly, right, mas napapalaki po niya yung kanyang investment to reach his goal. Okay. So yun po. So he adds every month to an equity or equity index fund. So alin pong index, right? Pwede pong local, pwedeng global, or even a combination of both. A combination of both would do him really well kasi, right, meron po siyang investment in the Philippines and then meron siyang investment overseas. Okay? So nababalance po niya yung risk exposure niya sa iba't ibang bansa. Now, okay, before we go to our next example, let's say nalalapit na si Mark dun sa time kung kailan niya gagamitin yung college education fund ng children niya. Let's say, meron na lang siya mga 5 years. Ano kaya yung pwedeng gawin ni Mark? How can Mark manage his investments kung meron na lang 5 years na naiiwan after? So nag-invest na siya, right? Lumipas na 13 years. Okay? 5 years na lang yung naiiwan for his investment. What could he possibly do? Okay? Let's check ano po pa yung sagot ng ating mga audience today. Okay? Right? Bond fund, balance fund. Okay, transfer to bond fund. All right. Ang galing ng audience natin today. Right? As you can see po, right? May mga gusto maglipat sa bond, may gustong lumipat sa balance. Right? What we're trying to show you po here is how you can manage your money. Okay? So hindi lang po 18 years na naka-fix ka lang sa isang equity or equity index fund. Okay? As you progress through your goals, right, habang nalalapit po tayo dun sa goals natin, syempre po, ima-manage din natin yung risk ng ating investment. Okay? Let's say, lumaki na po yung pera nyo after a few years. Right? After that time, right, we don't want to expose that investment that has already grown in value to a lot of risk. So, one way you can manage that is, tulad nga po ng mga suggestions or answers nyo today, baka pwedeng ilipat ni Mark yung ilan in a balance fund or ilan in a bond fund to manage yung risk. At least hindi po lahat naka-expose in an equity or equity index fund. Okay? Good responses from our audience. Okay. So, ganun niya po pwede i-manage yung pera niya. Yan. Last example we have today is si Philip. Okay? Si Philip po, he's already in his early 50s. No? Nasa mga 45 to 50 na siya. And he wants to invest for his retirement. Nagpre-prepare na po siya for his retirement kasi feeling niya hindi enough yung SSS or GSIS pension na nakukuha niya for his retirement, or for his lifestyle, for his retirement. Okay? But one thing that Philip wants to take note is ayaw niya mag-take on ng masyadong too much risk. No? He doesn't want that. Okay? So what can he possibly do? Gusto pa rin niya mag-grow yung pera niya for his retirement, but he doesn't want to take on too much risk. So yung retirement niya, 200,000 pesos, and then nagdadagdag siya ng 5,000 every month para mas mapalago niya yung investment niya for the next 10 years. Ng ating audience, saan po pwede ilagay ni Philip yung kanyang investment? Let's just wait for some responses to come in. I think medyo naglo-load lang po yung ating chat box. Yan. I'm now seeing bonds, balance, okay? Bonds, balance fund, bond funds, EIP, right? So later we can talk about EIP. Okay? Money market funds, balance, bond funds. Okay. So iba-iba po yung sagot nyo, no? Again po, depende sa risk appetite ni Philip kung saan niya gustong ilagay. But since he wants to have a mix of growth pero not too much risk, siguro po ang good option kay Philip is to invest it in a balanced fund. Yan. Kasi po sa balanced fund, right, meron siyang portion that can allocate for growth through investing in the stock market, and then meron din pong naka-allocate sa funds. Okay? Now, pwede rin naman po siyang mag-mix nung kanyang iba't ibang types of investment. Pwede siyang mag-mix ng equity or bond fund kung kaya po niyang i-personalize yung kanyang investment. So kung mas knowledgeable si Philip, pwedeng mix ng equity and bond funds. Okay? But kung gusto lang niya na, okay, gusto ko isang fund lang pag-investan ko for this goal, that's just it, then he can choose through a balanced fund. So pwede po ba yung money market and bond funds? Pwede rin po, no? If you want to mix it with an equity fund, that's also a good option. But it on its own, right? Kung gusto niyo pong mapalago yung pera niyo over a long period of time, example dito, 10 years, baka po hindi enough yung money market and bond fund. So maybe a good composition would be a mix of that and an equity fund. Yeah. So ganun po pwede i-manage ni Philip yung kanyang investments. All right? Now, recap lang po tayo. How did we, decide saan po bang fund mag-i-invest? Paano natin i-manage yung investments? Actually, 3 steps lang po yung dinaanan natin kung marirealize nyo. Okay? We have 3 steps that we took. That is unang-una to determine your investment bucket. Ano po ba yung goal nyo? Saan nyo ipinaglalaan yung pera na yun? Second is to choose a fund for each bucket. Ano po ba yung tamang investment for that bucket or for your goal? Okay? And 3, okay, you have to rebalance regularly to achieve your goals. So if you see po that nalalapit na kayo sa goals nyo, maybe you can lessen the risk of your investment, or if you see risk in the stock market, then you move your investments around. Okay? So kailangan po regularly tayo nagre-rebalance. Maybe once every quarter or once every year, we look at our investments and sees ano po ba yung pwede natin i-adjust doon. Yan. So but essentially, ganun lang po kadali mag-manage ng inyong investments based on your life goals. Just 3 simple steps. No? Determine your investment, choose the bucket or investment, choose the investment that fits your bucket, and then mag-rebalance po tayo. Yeah. And what we've seen is that there is a fund combination that's right for you. So regardless po kung ano yung goal nyo, iba pan po yan sa ibang tao, pwede nating i-personalize yung sarili nating investments based on the different funds available out there. Yeah. So kami po sa COL, right? We have more than 50 funds in our platform. Yeah? And we offer funds from different fund providers. So COL Investment Management Inc., yan po yung sarili namin, yung under COL, a subsidiary of COL. Right? We also offer our own funds, but we also offer funds from other investment houses out there. So we have Atram, ALFM Mutual Funds, which is managed by BPI. They have PhilEquity, Sun Life, Manulife, and First Metro Asset Management. So sa po, ma-access nyo yung iba't ibang types ng funds na to from the different fund providers. So yun po yung isa sa main advantages through COL kasi pwede po kayong mamili aling fund yung gusto nyong pag-investan nyo. Hindi po kayo tali in any of these fund partners. You can switch and choose based on the fund that you like. And for those who are attending the webinar today, makakatanggap po kayo ng ating fund source guidebook. So sa guidebook po na to, nandiyan yung basics of investing in mutual funds and UITF and the full list of the funds that are available on COL. So makikita nyo po ano yung benefits and risks ng iba't ibang funds na available sa ating platform. But we know, ang dami po ng funds na pinakita natin today. There's more than 15 in our platform. To those who are just starting, right, you can refer to these fund starter list, okay, to narrow down kung saan po kayo pwede magsimulang tumingin. Okay? So if you're just starting to look at funds, these are some funds that we've shortlisted that you can look at. So for money market, okay, grabe yung ulan dito sa amin. Sorry po. Right? So I hope that nakuha naman po yung ating previous slides sa ating discussion. So let me just have a quick check. Are you still able to see my screen? Right. So I saw a comment here. Paano po ba nila ma-receive yung guidebook? To those who are attendees of today's webinar, we will email it to you after. Again, here are some of the funds that you can start to look at. Right. Okay. Now, we are on to our step 3. Sa third step na po tayo. Now that we know which funds fit our needs or fit our investment goals, saan po ba tayo pwede mag-order or mag-invest? Okay? So for this portion po, we will be going through a live website navigation of our COL account. Your COL, sabayan nyo lang po tayo kami, mag-login lang po kayo sa inyong COL account, and then we will continue with the website navigation. Okay? So paano po mag-login? Kung may COL account na po kayo, the top right corner, that will be where you can put in your login details. Yan. Then other information po will be here below. Okay. So sabay-sabay po tayo dito. Okay. Just request everyone who has a COL account, log in po tayo para masabayan natin yung live website navigation in just a few minutes. Okay. Yan. Mutual funds button. Okay. So nakalog in, hintay lang po tayo for some of our audience today to log in into their accounts. Right? So ako din po, magla-login din po ako sa ating COL account. Sabay-sabay po tayo. Okay. So I think yung mga magla-login po, naka-login naman na po sila. Now sa COL account nyo po, you can access mutual funds and UITFs through the mutual fund button at the upper right page of your COL account. Okay. Okay. So for those investors po na hindi makakasabay, it's all okay. I will do this again later in our live navigation. But just to give you an idea, andito po yung mutual fund button at the upper right side of your page. Okay. So pagka-click nyo po niyan, dadalit po kayo dito. So this is how your page should look like. And bago po kayo makapag-invest in funds, kailangan nyo lang po sagutin yung ating questionnaire, yung Client Suitability Assessment. Okay, so that's a very short questionnaire that you have to answer to invest in funds. Po yung steps na to. Yan. And answer it honestly. Okay? Sagutan funds fit your goals based on that. What we're just seeing, what we're just showing you today is an example of how you can do it. Pag pumunta po kayo sa inyong investor profile, ito po yung labas. Okay. Yeah. So pag natapos niyo na po yung CSA questionnaire, right? Makikita nyo po yung investor profile nyo. Are you an aggressive investor? Are you a conservative investor? So just to give you an idea po, ano po ba yung risk tolerance or risk appetite nyo as an investor? Because that will help you decide what funds you want to invest in. Okay. Now, assuming po, natapos nyo na yung questionnaire na yun, no? How do we now go into looking for funds? So, dito na po tayo in our live website navigation. Again, para po ma-access nyo ang to the mute button. Okay? Pagka-click po nun, that will open a new page, will redirect you sa FundSource platform. So ito po yung platform for investing in mutual funds and UITFs. Yan. Okay. So dito po makikita nyo kung may existing investment na po kayo, makikita nyo po dito yung existing investment nyo. Right? On the right-hand side, makikita po kayo ng news and insights. And kung meron po kayong funds na gustong bantayan, you can look at it through the bottom right portion, yung ating fund watch list. Okay? But dapat po dito kayo may redirect if you've already answered your CSA questionnaire. Okay. Now, paano naman po kayo makakapag-check or how can you look for the funds that you want? So one way to do that po is we go to the funds tab, okay? Then list of all funds. Tingnan lang po natin, ano po ba yung funds that are available there? Okay. Now, from this page, pwede po tayo mag-filter. Kung may gusto po tayong fund house, and we can choose which fund house we want to invest in, right? Or a fund type. Dito niyo po makikita. Pwede po kayo mag-search ng money market fund, bond fund, balance fund, or even an equity fund. Okay? And then the risk rating or yung risk ng fund, is the fund a conservative fund? Money market pa siya? Okay. Is it an aggressive fund? Yan. So dito nyo po makikita yon. And geographic exposure. Saan po ba nag-i-invest yung fund? Does it invest locally or does it invest globally? Yan. So those are some of the filters po that you can use to check which funds. One way din po to check if you already know what fund you want to look at is to type it in the search box. So for example, we're looking for an index fund. All right, so hindi natin alam what particular, but we want to look for an index fund. We just type index search, and that will list down all the funds na may keyword na index in their names. So important po na nasa pangalan ng fund yung hinahanap natin. Okay. Another example is if you're looking for income, and I think that's one of the keywords, right? So ito naman po yung mga income funds. Normally, these are funds that distribute dividends. So some of them, okay? But just to give you an idea, ang lumalabas po are the ones na may name na income in their name. Yeah. So a few options out there. Yep. Okay. Yeah. So ganun lang po kadali maghanap ng fund. Let's say, let's go to a COL fund. And so lalabas po yung COL Strategic Growth Equity Fund and then your COL Equity Index Fund. Now, let's say ayaw nyo pa po mag-invest, no? You want to learn more about the fund before investing in it. What you can do, right, is go click the fund overview. Click po natin yung fund overview. So sa fund overview po, dito natin makikita yung more information about the fund that we wanted to invest in. So you have the summary of the other resources. So ito po yung mas makakatulong talaga sa inyo if you want to dig deep and dive into the fund. So let's go for it. Tingnan po natin fund fact sheet. This one po is provided by the fund manager. I'm currently sharing my screen with you and reset lang po natin. Then kanina we typed in COL to look for a COL fund. Oops. And then we click the fund overview. Fund overview is over here. Yan, dito po natin makikita yung more details about the fund that we want to invest in. Yan. So nag-load na po. Ito po yung inyong performance ng inyong fund. So makikita nyo po yung performance niya. Right? 1 day, 5 days, 1 month, 3 months. So pwede nyo pong i-adjust ano yung performance na gusto nyo makita from the fund. Gaano katagal na span. Okay? Now, sabi nga po natin, there are other resources here that you can use. A good example is the fund fact sheet. This is the information provided by the fund house themselves. So paano po ba natin babasahin ito? No? Marami pong words. Marami. Right? But let's just simplify it to a few key areas para po hindi naman tayo ma-overwhelm. Okay? So unang-una po, makikita natin fund characteristics. Ito po yung nagde-describe ano yung fund, saan siya nag-invest. Okay? And then the fund details are here on the right. Dito nyo po makikita ano yung price ng fund, ano yung management fee niya, how much is it the minimum to invest in it. But all of this po are available in our platform, right? So para hindi nyo na po isa-isahin pa yung mga funds na to. It's also available in our platform for your viewing. But what's important here, right, would be this portion, yung asset allocation. For those of you who are more discerning investors, ito po yung mga kailangan yung or maganda nyo pong tignan. Saan po ba nag-i-invest yung fund? Anong sectors? Holdings, financial. Ano po ba yung mga hawak niyang stocks? Ayan, SM, BDO, BPI. Okay, so dito nyo po makikita yung mga information na yun in the fund fact sheet. Okay. And then all the other information like the cost and the track record are also in this file. Okay. So that is how you can find these files useful. Right. Another one po is the COL fund snapshot. So ito naman po parang fund fact sheet pero kami po yung nag-prepare. So ano naman po yung meron dito? Okay. This is more of COL's take on the fund house's fact sheet. So andito rin po yung information na yun. But the added one that we provide is the industry average. Okay. And then for funds po na may mas matagal ng performance, makikita nyo po how it compares to other funds available. Right? So makikita nyo po ano po yung mga kaparehas niyang fund or similar in terms of strategy so that you can compare them against each other and see which fund you prefer the most. So yun naman po yung added information that we provide is giving you a good comparison of how these funds compare against each other. And now, let's say po, you decided you want to invest in this fund. Okay? It's very easy. You just click create order. Kita nyo po siya dyan. And then you just choose transact or sa transaction, invest or redeem. So kung mag-i-invest pa lang po kayo, you click invest. Kung may existing investment na po kayo and you want to redeem that investment, you just click redeem. So for example po, we want to invest 1,000 pesos. And then may additional feature po dito, yung Easy Investment Program. So Easy Investment Program po, this is just your setup for regular investing. So kung gusto niyo pong mag-invest in a fund regularly, pwede niyo pong i-click yung yes. Pero lalabas lang po itong prompt na to pag meron na po kayong investment on that fund. So kailangan po mag-invest muna kayo in a fund once, and then the next time you invest, pwede na po kayong mag-regular investing through that fund. So itatanong lang po nito is, how often do you want to invest in that fund? Gusto niyo po ba weekly, monthly, right? Kailan po magsa-start, tsaka gaano katagal niyo siya gustong gawing regular. And there are two modes. Pwede pong manual, meaning makaka-receive lang po kayo ng notification na meron kayong sinet na date to invest in this fund. Pero kayo pa rin po yung mag-transact after that. So manonotify lang po kayo na, ay, meron pala akong in-schedule na EIP for today. I-input ko yung order ko ngayon. Yeah. So yun po yung manual. Automatic naman po, that means automatically mag-transact na po yung account based on the previous instructions you gave. And don't worry, makaka-receive pa rin po kayo ng notification if that transaction has happened. Okay? So yun lang po yung difference sa manual. Kayo po yung mag-transact, and then sa automatic, regular na po that the system will do the investing for you. So assume po natin manual, review order. Yeah. So double check lang po natin yung mga details kung tama po. Okay? The account number, the fund code, the amount you want to invest, and all the other information. And then you type in your password. Confirm nyo na po yung order details, and then just place your order. Yan. So ayan po, essentially nakapag-invest na po kayo sa fund, right? And to track how your order is doing, punta lang po tayo sa order entry. Sa view orders. Yan. Okay. So dito nyo po makikita yung status ng inyong order. So may lalabas po dito, right, ng order details nyo, and then makikita nyo po yung status kung na-receive na po siya ng system, natanggap, and if it's confirmed or rejected, dito nyo po siya makikita sa fund orders. Okay? Okay. Yung regular investment naman po, if you want to manage it as well, you can just go to view EIPs. Yan. Yan. May active po tayong EIP, yung sinet up natin kanina. So you can cancel or change it through this page. Say you want to change it. Yan. Pipili nyo po alin yung gusto nyo tanggalin if you want to hold on or hold off on investing on regularly. But meron po tayong options to change that. Yan. So I think that he already gave us a few idea how to look for funds and how to invest in them. Okay? So paano naman po pag magre-redeem? Okay, normal, kunwari po, naglagay kayo sa account nyo, gusto nyo nang mag-redeem. Right? Lalabas po yan sa inyong portfolio here in the home page, and you can just click redeem. Yan. And then pag-click nyo po ng redeem, makikita nyo po ito yung available positions na meron kayo, or ito po yung number of shares or units na meron kayo. Okay? So you just type in gaano po kalaki yung gusto nyong i-withdraw. Yan. Okay? So for example, gusto ko mag-withdraw ng half. Okay? So 400 shares or units. Yan. Okay, so makikita nyo po, may lumabas na cut-off for investing and redeeming is 11 a.m. Yan. So ano po ibig sabihin niya? So ang cut-off po ng pag-transact is 11 a.m., meaning all orders after 11 a.m., the next day na po siya marireceive. So that's just something to consider when you're transacting. So ibig sabihin lang po nito, bukas pa mapoprocess yung order ko for redemption. Okay. And then kindly read a few reminders here and type in your password. And yan, nakapag-submit na po kayo ng inyong redemption order. So ganun lang po kadali mag-invest and redeem through your COL account. Yan. And lalabas po dito ang inyong latest orders. Okay, great. Okay. So what are the other things that you can look at? So sa tools po, ito yung fund product guide to help you invest. Ito po yung mga additional information that you can look at, minimums, okay, kailan nyo po yung marireceive yung settlement nyo for your redemption, cut-offs, management fees. Again, dito nyo po makikita yung lahat para hindi na kayo mag-isa-isa pa ng fund fact sheet kanina. All of those information are here. You just need to look for the fund that you need that information on. Another one would be yung performance table. So dito nyo po makikita yung performance and stats of the different funds available in COL platform. So for money market fund, ito po yung year-to-date performance nila and the other stats and figures for these types of funds. Bond fund, balance fund, equity fund, and equity index fund. So ganun lang po yun. Right? Now, alam ko po, ganito yung ginagawa ng karamihang investors, no? Pupunta sila dito sa fund performance, ang gagawin po nila, i-filter nila yung performance. Year-to-date, yung pinakamalaki. Right? And what they'll often do, pag nakita nila yung best performing na fund for that year, right? I-click nila, tapos dyan sila mag-invest. Please, for those of you who want to do this, wala naman pong problema, but please just read where the fund invests in. Okay? Ang nangyayari po kasi minsan, ganito yung ginagawa ng mga investor, pipiliin lang po nila yung pinaka-best performing, pero hindi po nila alam kung ano yung pinag-i-investa nila. Okay. So a good example, the past few years, there was a fund that's doing really well. Maganda po talaga yung performance niya. But it's because the strategy of the fund invests in small and medium-sized companies. Okay. So nung tataas po yung interest rates yung BSP, ang una pong tinamaan yung mga kumpanya po na yun. Okay. So kung hindi kayo aware kung saan nag-i-invest yung fund na yun, you wouldn't be aware of the risks of investing into that fund. So please, if you're going to do this, that you're going to base it on the performance of the fund, at least click the fund and read what the strategy of the fund is and saan siya nag-i-invest. Okay? So that you are well aware of the risks of what the fund is. Okay? So yun lang po, just a few reminders of what you can do when you are looking here. But this is a very useful page if you want to compare performances. So makikita niyo po dito. Year to date, 1 year, the last 5 years, gaano ba siya nag-compare with other funds, and even other metrics tulad ng Sharpe ratio, expense ratio, and tracking error. So those are just additional tools that you can use to choose the fund that you want to invest in. Okay. But to keep it short, right, dyan po yung mga, those are our website navigation areas that you can probably start to look at as you start your investing journey through funds. Right, so let's go back to our deck for today, yung presentation po natin. So recap lang po natin, ano na po ba yung mga napag-usapan natin today, no? Haba, ang dami na nating pinag-usapan. We studied ano yung mutual funds and UITFs, ano yung iba't ibang types ng funds out there. Okay? We also talked about how to pick the right fund based on the goals that you have in your life. Okay? And then we also talked about how to enter your order through COL. And through these 3 steps, I really hope that we've able to impart and share knowledge to you, our audience today, kung ano po ba yung pwede nyong pag-investan through funds that are available in COL. Now, to those of you who have COL accounts already, wala na po problema, pwede na po yung mag-invest directly through funds with just one account. Okay. Now, for those of you na wala pa pong COL account, here are a few requirements if you want to open your account. So you just need a one valid ID, Philippine bank account, okay, na mayroon pong TIN or SSS, and then your email, selfie photo and video, and a copy of your signature. Okay. So ito lang po yung examples nun. Right? And then just submit those to signup.callfinancial.com. So pagka-submit nyo po na yun, right, makakakuha po kayo ng email which will give your account number. But to receive your password, you still need to fund your account by at least 1,000 pesos. So pag nalamnan nyo na po yung account nyo ng 1,000 pesos, that's when you will receive your COL password para ma-access yung inyong account. And just like in our website navigation, you can put in your account details and password on the upper right tab, and then you can already use the COL platform. And COL po, we've been in this industry for more than 23 years. Okay, right? We are actually now reaching our 25th next year. So, tagal na po namin this industry. We are trusted by over 500,000 clients. And we have stocks and funds in one platform. Okay? So you can invest in mutual funds and UITFs right from your COL account. Okay? So for some of you here who have investing guidance or assistance in terms of funds, please feel free to email us at mutualfunds@colfinancial.com. Yeah, so for more investing guidance, you can follow our COL pages at COL Financial in our Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter accounts or X accounts.